Alright guys, come on in and have a seat. Let's talk about Severin films today. Now, I don't know if you guys are truly aware of it, but behind the scenes, there is definitely an all-out war on who is going to be the best physical media company with the most rabid fans behind them. Now, a lot of people will say it could be Vinegar Syndrome as that company, and they've certainly towed the line and honestly been the biggest trailblazers when it comes to physical media collecting for the collectors out of all these companies. But one thing that I've really started to notice, and it became so prevalent the other night with Severin Film Summer Sale, was how they have truly, in my opinion, changed their look from a customer standpoint and in the world of the physical media boutique label standpoint. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to talk about Severin and just say, oh, they were bad, they've always been bad, and things like this. The reality is, I've actually got some stuff from them that I like. Now, before we get into the story of what I think was truly the catalyst for all this and how they really started to swap their perception in the view of the public, was this. But I want to talk about a few titles really quick. So Severin has a pretty good catalog of films, and it's getting exponentially better today, because when it comes to the format of 4K, we're seeing licenses change from this company to that company, from this company to that company, and sometimes, and lately, a lot of it has actually been for the better. Some of these other companies getting these titles, we've seen a more prestigious, well-packaged, thought-out release, and in some cases, Severin has been the company that we're happy that they got those titles. But here are just some titles from the company that I really recommend. One of my highest recommends from writer John Russo, the writer of Night of the Living Dead, is the movie Midnight. This is a video nasty, also known as the Backwoods Massacre, I believe. Backwoods Massacre. A really great movie about a backwoods cult family. Highly enjoy this one, and I can't wait to get the slip that was based off of the VHS art for this that I got in the sale, but we'll talk about that in a second. Other titles, another classic, The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. This is a must-see zombie film. Ted Raimi as a serial killer in Skinner with Tracy Lords. Another movie that I think is sensational. There's movies like Anthropophagus and Absurd. Absurd being the one that I prefer. This was the limited to 3,000 release that has the CD soundtrack. Gory, intense, whacked out movies. Was this Joe D'Amato? Yes, it was Joe D'Amato, a legend in that category. One of my favorite slow burn movies of all time, The Changeling with the Cool Slip. This stars the great George C. Scott. Love this movie to death. Tombs of the Blind Dead, another classic from them. Love Tombs of the Blind Dead. One of the coolest werewolf movies of all time, starring the great Peter Cushing and Calvin Lockhart. The Beast Must Die. This is an early 70s psychedelic werewolf mystery film that I really like, that has a really great scene that's very much in the sense of The Thing's blood test scene. Really great movie. I love The Beast Must Die. And those are just some. They have a number of titles that I would highly recommend. They are, like I said, an awesome company with some good titles. But if I'm being just dead honest, and I think a lot of us might have felt this way, when you think of Severin, I can't say that that's the company that it just comes straight to your mind when you think of who's the best boutique physical media company. A lot of people could say, oh, look, I think when you can't package better than Vinegar Syndrome, you can't release stuff more exciting than the way they do. Some people could say, well, look, Scream Factory has more of the titles that I like. And other people could say, when it comes as an all-around packaged presentation, special features, packaging, scans, Arrow is the best. If I had to guess, maybe 1 out of 10 people would say Severin. And maybe 2. I don't know. I know it wouldn't come out of my mouth. But I'll never forget when they were at an all-time low for me when it came to the perception. But before that, I want to touch on this again. We did a video going over Cruel Jaws. And here's something I actually want to say that I did not say in the video about this. So, briefly, when it came to the Cruel Jaws release, guys, you may remember this title got pulled very fast. Apparently, Universal did not like this, and that's also the reason Drop Dead Fred was pulled from their release schedule, and they did not get it. But the thing, looking back, and especially looking at the comments on this video, people weren't upset at Severin for this. Like, they understood they had to take it down, but I think they rallied around Severin for doing this movie and putting this movie out and doing so many fun things with the stickers, the bandanas, and all that. So I think people kind of saw Severin as renegades in a sense. Like, they threw caution to the wind and they released Cruel Jaws, and now I'm happy to have a Blu-ray of it. So I actually think that this brought them up a little bit in the appeal of the collector, because they did put out the movie, and they put out the really cool slips. They did put out the Jaws 5 slipcover, which had the image of Jaws from the poster of the first movie, essentially, on there. So that's something that I think that made fans say, like, Severin, they don't give a damn. They just did it. They threw caution to the wind. That's the sense that I got from people, and when I do talk to them about that release, that's where I say to myself, wow, like, they did throw caution to the wind, because if you remember Scream Factory, they said, nope, we're not going to touch this. We already got a little bit of a sense that Universal's not really happy about that. So I think the Cruel Jaws release did a little bit more good for them rather than bad in terms of just the hardcore fans. But it was it was a November Black Friday sale a few years ago. This is where I think the appeal of Severin kind of dropped a little bit in the perception of people, including myself at the time. That is the infamous Four Flies on Grey Velvet release. Now, here's the reality. This isn't a bad release. This is not a bad release at all. It is, I believe it's like 4 discs. The movie looks incredible. It's a 4-disc set. This might have been the second film from Dario. This was 1971, so I think his first one was Crystal Plumage, and this might have been next. It may have been something else, but what I'm getting at is Four Flies on Grey Velvet, this was a good release from them, packed with bonus features. It's a pretty nice looking slip. There's a little bit of embossing. You can feel the raising on the eyes and everything. It's got a matte black finish, which I'm a fan of matte black, but I feel like more people prefer more of that shiny kind of black than matte, but I like matte. And I think somebody says that there's actually a Severin podcast where they kind of talked about this a little bit, but I never heard that. But look, I can just give you the fans' point of view on this. When this got announced, it was announced as a Black Friday sale-only release. And more often than not, people started sharing screenshots that, okay, maybe this wasn't exactly a Black Friday-only release. Which, in my mind, that was weird to me to think, you've got a Dario Argento film and you only want to make it available for 2 days online? Like, what? So I don't know why they marketed it as such, because what happened was, not long after this, people started screenshotting pictures of horror movie conventions, and Severin would be there, and guess what would be on the table with a big stack available for purchase? Four Flies on Grey Velvet. But then, also, the thing that really threw people off is if you look back on the website when this came out, there was an image of this release, a promo image, and it was very, very thick. And it definitely had very sharp edges on the corners, making it look like it was a hard style box, Arrow Video style release, which I think people were excited for, because when it comes to this appeal for physical media collecting and the presentation, that blueprint that Arrow Video has done has become a fan favorite. More people than not love that kind of release. That's definitely what that looked like on the site. And to people's dismay, when they got this, they realized, well, we might have been duped a little bit. Which is really a shame, because in actuality, just the fact that they got a Dario film and they were doing a 4K of it, I think would have been enough for fans to be like, oh great, Severin got something really cool. They got a Dario Argento film. But the marketing of this was a little wishy-washy, and to be honest with you, it stirred people up a little bit. It had a pretty bad taste put in people's mouths when it comes to Severin. How do we trust them? Can we trust Severin? Now, obviously, time would go on, and we forgive and we forget, and we move on. After all, this is just physical media. But after a while, I thought to myself, Severin's got to do something big. I would think to myself this a lot. Then they had the announcement for Cemetery Man. They got the license to one of the most sought-after movies to come to a high-end physical media release in years. There's only a few left. One of the most prominent titles had to be Cemetery Man. But they also announced that they had gotten the license for some other films. Movies like The Church might have been on Scorpion or some other Red Eye, Code Red releasing that was now coming over to Severin. with the church being one of my favorites. I love the church. So I remember when this was announced, I was obviously very excited. And but I'll be honest with you, I was also a little nervous because of the Four Flies thing. I was like, how are they going to release this? How are they going to present this to us? Are they going to give us images? Are they going to show us an actual image of a release, a prototype? Or are they going to give us some sort of 3D rendered image that's going to kind of look one way and then come out a different way? So I was certainly excited, and finally when we started seeing the images of these releases, I was very relieved, because I got to give them credit. Severin came out swinging last year, and they did probably a good a job as anybody could with the Cemetery Man de la Morte de la Mort release. I give them all the credit in the world. This is a classic film, and Severin did an incredible job. It's not a hard box release, but it's some sort of really, really heavy, thick kind of material that I give them credit. It's nice and embossed. The imagery is really great, and there's a formality look that Severin's going for that we're seeing still with Opera. It's in this very much a similar vein, and they did a great job with this. So a lot of people were like, okay, Severin, you guys definitely made up for it. And they did a great job with these two, I gotta say. I picked up The Sect, and I picked up The Church in 4K. And again, they did very similar art styles. Their slips on these are very, very dense and heavy. And look, I'm not the biggest slipcover fanatic, but the way that they're doing them now makes them actually feel worthwhile to me. So Severin definitely stepped up big time this last year, and so they're doing really good. And here's The Church, which they just did a sensational job for. Some other movies that they put out last year I just picked up from the sale, but we'll talk about the sale in a minute. So I think Severin definitely got a lot of brownie points with people with their sensational release of Cemetery Man de la Morte de la Mort, which they did a great job. All the artwork that they gave us available. They gave us the Cemetery Man title we could put on here with de la Morte de la Mort on the front. So great job, Severin. And then I started noticing some of the newer stuff they were putting out, and the releases, the presentation went up big time. They had done slipcovers before, but they were kind of a really more cheap material, which was kind of, I say cheap, it was really just more of a standard material. But, you know, some of the stuff that they've put out lately, like Dracula versus Frankenstein, just makes this film so much fun to own when you get it in your hands and you look at it, and you're like, oh, wow. Now, I just picked this up at a convention not long ago, so I haven't watched my copy yet, but I've seen the movie. I had it on VHS as a kid, and it's just like, wow, that is great job. And then their 4K releases, first off, the picture quality has been sensational, and Nightmare Baker, Butcher Maker, excuse me, great title. I was happy that they got it. I love the artwork that you could put on these releases, and the slipcover is really nice. You've got that classic image of them on the back with the mom and son. So, well, that's the girlfriend. That's not the mom, but that is the mama. The mom is crazy in that movie. So, their stock seems to be going up, and what I give them so much credit for, if you would have told me, Christian, what's going to be your favorite sale, physical media sale of 2024, the last thing that was probably going to come out of my mouth, and this could change still because obviously we're not done yet, but if you would have told me that Severin Summer Sale would have been the most exciting sale of all time, I wouldn't have believed you. And, you know, they still have hiccups every now and again, but it's funny hiccups to me now because I waited, and now I'm reaping the benefits of this. For instance, they put out this fun release of Kathy's Curse, which I haven't seen the movie before. I have it coming, and I'll talk to you guys about that in just a second. But they released this really cool box that had this glowing green eye, and apparently the mechanics of that didn't work, which, look, these things happen. So that I laugh at that a little bit, but what they did with this sale was great. They left no stone unturned. They put so much stuff on sale. The Severin Summer Sale is one of the best physical media sales I've seen in such a long time. I picked up a number of titles, and of course with the release of Opera, everybody is so excited. What a Dario title for them to get. I have no idea why Scream Factory, they aren't clamoring to get Dario stuff that would have been available. Blows my mind that they haven't, but I'm glad that it's Severin, because now they have not only truly fully regained my trust, and I think the trust of a lot of people, but we're excited. We're genuinely excited to get Opera from Severin, and we know that what they're going to do is going to be a sensational job with the release. But the sale was sensational. So many titles I got for $7 or $8. Good titles. They put a lot of stuff from the legacy collection of Severin, meaning titles that were fan favorites that have been out for a long time. Very, very cheap. I got Overboard with Kurt Russell for $4.99 from Severin. $4.99. That's a physical media sale. That was a physical media sale. So many people were messaging me after the sale, showing me what they got. They're still adding stuff. They did the right thing where you can add to your cart, because people would... This is the way these physical media sales work, ladies and gentlemen. We go online, we get the things we know we're desperate to get. For instance, Opera. Then I picked up Spider Labyrinth on Blu-ray. I got Wax Mask. I got a few other Bruno Mattei movies, things like that, cheap movies. And then what happens is we all talk to each other. What did you get? What did you get? Oh, dude, this movie's actually really good. You should pick that up. So then Severin made sure you can add to your existing order, which is the right thing to do and the brilliant thing to do. So now they're making so much money, and the bundles are reasonably priced. I mean, they're expensive, but when you look at everything you get, and the price of Opera, I think, was for Severin and really for a lot of the boutique label stuff and the amount of content that we're getting with that Opera release, I think it could have been worse. In actuality, a 5-disc set with a new bound booklet, an ungodly amount of special features, and a movie that's being restored, obviously, frame by frame into 4K. The price is not hooray, but it's just like, okay, I'll be honest with you, I was expecting more. So I think the look of Severin, the appeal of Severin, is definitely improved big time over the last 2 to 3 years from the fans, especially me, which is why I'm here. I wanted to do this video to just say, Severin, you guys are looking good. I mean, this sale was incredible, and you guys, I made a lot of people happy with the sale. I was for sure the sale was going to be an eye roller, but you guys proved me wrong, and so I just wanted to really come on here and talk to you guys about how I think Severin has really become a player, and I'm so excited to really see what they do in the next few years and what titles they go after, because the more successful they become, the more resources I think they have to establish themselves to get even bigger and better titles. I still think Drop Dead Fred would have been huge for them, but I don't think I think they're going to get to that point again very soon where they can get some titles that we're really, really going to be excited about, guys. So this was just my kind of story on how I feel Severin has now gone up big time from the view of the physical media collector, and how I'm excited to see what those guys do. And I'm so excited for Opera, as I know a lot of us are. So I tell you what, guys, let me know your thoughts on Severin. Please let me know what you ordered from the summer sale and your thoughts on the summer sale. Were you like me? Were you just absolutely like surprised at how good it ended up being? And how many titles did you pick up, guys? This is a great time to be a physical media collector. I really can't emphasize enough how this is truly the golden era. We are in it right now. Absolutely right now. We'll always have things to bitch about, including myself. I'll always have something to bitch about. But when you stop and look at your movie shelves and look at what's coming still, as good as the stuff you have on the shelves, you need to realize we're living it. This is it. This is the golden era. We are in it. Let's revel in it, and let's just enjoy the best releases that some of these companies are making right now. Because I don't know what 5 years looks like from now. If it could be possibly even better, or if we're going to be getting the scrap ends of everything that's going on right now. But right now, I have no doubt in my mind, we are living the best years of physical media. Thank you guys for watching this, and thumbs up to Severin Films, guys. Can't wait to check out Opera and many other titles. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.